everybody. Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm Andrew Kavanaugh, and I want to say thank you for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the channel, we are going to be talking about something very special today, and this is something that I reached out to the people who are responsible for distributing the product I'm going to be talking about today. Usually on the channel, I talk about physical media, 4K Blu-rays, standard Blu-rays, movies and TV shows that come out on physical media. And a long time ago, a few years ago actually, I reviewed a Philips 4K Blu-ray player that I was using at the time because I felt that it was actually a really good piece of machinery. Times have changed and technology has updated. And since then, I've been using a Sony, an X800M2. Actually, this is it right here. Let me kind of show you. Oh, this big sucker. It's full of dust and everything right now, so pardon that. But I've been using that for the past just about 2 years now. And that has been a fairly good machine. I've had some issues with it here and there with it freezing up. And, you know, it's actually, this one here is actually a replacement from Sony because the first one I had initially crapped out, thankfully right before the 1-year warranty. So this one here has been a replacement that I've had for just about another year now, and it's been working fairly well, needless to say. But I reached out to the people at Let's Get Physical Distribution, and these guys were very kind enough to send me one of the products that they are responsible for selling and distributing in the United States and in other parts of the world. And they are responsible for Reavon and Magnetar, which are, in my opinion, probably the highest end physical media players on the market today. And I say a physical media player because they do way more than just 4Ks and Blu-rays. They'll play pretty much any disc that you put in the machine. It is truly incredible, the just sheer amount of stuff that these machines will play. But for many years, Oppo, however you pronounce that, has been kind of the high watermark in terms of 4K Blu-ray players. Sadly, those players are not made anymore. Those are gone, and they sell on the secondary market, places on like eBay and stuff, for ridiculous amounts of money. And they're not supported anymore. And Reavon and Magnetar are still supported, and the product I'm going to be talking about today, the Reavon UBR-X110, is still supported by the company. It actually comes with a 2-year warranty, which is very different compared to most products today. You'll be lucky to get a year out of most products that come out. So really, this review today, I'm going to be talking about that Reavon UBR-X110. And the player itself was loaned to me by Let's Get Physical. So I am not getting paid in any way to do this video. I don't even get to keep the product. I have to ship it back to them not long after I finish this video. I actually got to pack it up and send it out. They actually loaned it to me for a month so I could do this review for you guys. And, you know, first and foremost, let's just talk about the player build itself. Now, I'm not going to physically hold it here, so you'll see some B-roll footage of me unboxing it and stuff as I talk about this. But the player is built like a tank. I mean, it is basically all steel construction, with the exception of the disc tray and the actual screen that's on the front of it. And the other reason why I'm not holding it here is because the player weighs 14 pounds, or just about 14 pounds. So it's heavy. It's a big machine. It's heavy. It actually sits pretty tall as well. So if you do end up getting one of these things, you're going to have a TV stand that can, you know, fit this thing. I'm lucky enough to have one, but it didn't even clear under my TV. I had to put it in front of my television in order to fit this thing. So just keep that in mind. And my first impressions of it, when I was first playing a disc in it, is that it's fairly silent. It loads up discs super fast. One of the features I noticed right away is that the player actually gives you a preview as the disc is getting ready to play, as it's spinning up. It reads the disc and it actually shows like a little screen that may be like poster art or something having to do with the film itself. I tried to trick it. I put in a newer Blu-ray, or a newer 4K, I should say. I actually watched To Die For, one of my most recent videos, on that player. And even though it didn't have the poster art or anything for it yet, it actually had the Criterion logo that appeared. So that was kind of cool. But I mentioned earlier that the player supports a lot of different media, and this thing can play 4K Blu-rays, 3D Blu-rays, which is something you do not see very often anymore, standard Blu-rays, of course, DVDs, super audio CDs, which is something, again, that you do not see on a lot of players today, and of course standard CDs. And you can also connect a USB device to the front of the player, and it gives you a menu where you can scroll through all the different things that are on your hard drive or flash drive, whatever you're using, and play them right on the TV. And it plays pretty much every video format out there. It also can support music on flash drives and things like that. So pretty impressive stuff. Now, I'm a movie guy, as most of you know that have seen my channel before. So my focus was really watching movies on this player, on the X110. Now, I made sure to really put this thing through its paces. I have had this for just a little over 3 weeks now. And during my testing, I really just made sure to play a ton of different movies from different studios with different HDRs, movies with Dolby Vision, movies without. There were the Blu-rays that I got from Sloppy Second Sales. If you haven't seen that video, definitely check that out. But those are basically custom-made Blu-rays. And I was concerned that it was actually going to have an issue with those, but it didn't. I watched the 4K of JFK on this, or I should say I rewatched it. That played with no issue whatsoever. I watched The Dark Knight in 4K on this player. That was really impressive. I actually watched La Haine on this as well. So I actually reviewed that on my channel, playing it through that player. So that was really impressive. I watched To Die For, as I mentioned earlier, and I watched Independence Day, which was great because that is one of the discs that I have that has DTS-X on it, and that played perfectly. I watched, or should I say, I rewatched The Exorcist on 4K with this, and I watched A Better Tomorrow. I also watched the special features that came with Aliens, True Lies, and The Abyss on this, and those are all standard Blu-rays, and those played back with no issue whatsoever. I also watched the Criterion film Cure on this, and that looked impressive on the 4K player here. And I also watched Twister, my turbine copy of Twister, because that has Dolby Atmos and it's a standard Blu-ray, and that looked and sounded fantastic. A big thing I like about this player is not just the functionality of it, but it has some features that I thought were really impressive, and the customization of those features are great. The menu is very, very straightforward that comes with the player. It's right to the point, easy to access. A big feature that I love on this player is that it can automatically switch between Dolby Vision and HDR10 dependent on the disc you put in it. And I really miss that from my old Philips player. The Sony, you have to manually change HDR format back and forth in the settings of the player every single time. Otherwise, it will play every disc in Dolby Vision, whether it's a standard Blu-ray or a 4K Blu-ray that does not come with Dolby Vision. And you kind of have to keep track of everything. With the Reavon X110, you do not have to do that. It just does what it's supposed to do. And I really love that. It's kind of sad that that's become a luxury thing now in 4K players, but it's a thing, and it's available on this as a feature, which is great. The audio format on this is also impressive. It will play pretty much everything. As I mentioned earlier, the discs that I played, some of them had Dolby Atmos, some of them had DTS-X, some of those have DTS HD Master Audio 5.1s. Lahane was a stereo mix. To Die For was a 5.1 on a 4K. So I really put it through its paces and no issues whatsoever. Everything was decoded and showed up exactly the way it should. The menu on this, there's also like a status menu that you can play, that you can show as you're playing a movie, I should say, that gives you all sorts of information. How far you are into the movie. The title of the movie shows up in the upper left-hand corner. It even gives you a bitrate information on there, which, again, not very common, but it's there, and that's really handy to have if you're really into that. The other feature of the player that I really love is that you can also set the player to upscale everything to 4K if you're watching like a DVD or a standard Blu-ray, or you can watch it in its original format, its original resolution, which I think is great. I chose to watch standard Blu-rays upscaled to 4K because I really wanted to see what this machine can do. And I'm happy to say that the standard Blu-rays that I watched upscaled to 4K on this looked incredible. Now, I did not use the conversion to play all the Blu-rays in high dynamic range, so I did not do that because I think that kind of ruins the integrity of a movie. But the upscaling on this was phenomenal. And is it better than my Sony? I would say it's just a tick above. I mean, even the remote on this thing is pretty intense. It's a huge remote. It lights up in the dark, which I think is awesome, the fact that it's backlit, and pretty much every option that you could ever want to do with the player is right there on the remote. It's impressive. It's really impressive. A negative might be for the remote that it's really big, so if you have small hands, it may be a little unwieldy, but I liked it. I think it's really cool, and the functionality of it was flawless, so I love the remote on this. It's probably one of the nicest remotes I've ever had come with a Blu-ray player. In retrospect, this is the Sony remote, so yeah, kind of a big differential there. The Reavon also comes with a secondary HDMI port that is for audio only. So if you have a setup where you only want audio to come through the player on one end and you want to hook it up directly to a television or to a receiver, however you want to set it up in that way, you can do that with this player as well. So that's another nice little function there. So who is the Reavon X110 for, and is it worth the price tag? Well, the Reavon X110 retails right now for $1,000, $999. And for me, yeah, this is totally worth it. I absolutely love this player, and I can definitely see myself picking up one of these or one of the Magnetars in the future. This thing just worked flawlessly. Its customization was very impressive. Its build quality was unbelievable. And for something to work as well as it did with no matter what I threw at it, that's awesome. I mean, you sadly can't really expect that with a lot of the players on the market. I mean, as I mentioned, my Sony has been working fairly well, but it's also a replacement, so... But the Reavon is really for a person who takes their home theater and physical media seriously. I mean, if you're an audiophile, this may be also a really good player for you too because of that SACD compatibility. And that's a big one for a lot of those super audio CD collectors. I know you're out there. I'm not one of them, but I'm sure if this thing plays CDs as well as it plays movies, you're going to be impressed by it. I guess if you don't want to spend, $1,800, $2,000 on a physical media player, this is going to scratch that itch for you. I mean, this is right there in the middle. The Reavon, to me, this is really the way to go. I mean, the fact that it comes with a 2-year warranty, the compatibility in terms of media on it, and just how well this dang thing worked over the past couple weeks. I was blown away. I mean, no matter what I did, it ran flawlessly, and that's really all you can ask for. The other big thing too is that the discs look amazing, and this thing will give you the highest bit rate you could possibly want out of any disc. The drive in this thing is serious, and I mean, that's really what's important, is that disk drive, and it's awesome. I mean, it is awesome. So, is it worth the money? Yeah, yeah. In my opinion, it's totally worth the money. If you don't want to spend $2,000 or something on a Blu-ray player, this is the one for you. I highly recommend it, and I'm going to leave a link in the description below where you can find your store to pick this up. I'll leave the international link and the US store link. So no matter where you are in the world, you can go online and look into one of these yourselves or pick one up if you want. I mean, I do recommend it. I think this is an awesome machine, and it sadly just doesn't get enough press, which is one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to do this video for you guys here today. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the Reavon UBR-X110. If you enjoyed this video, definitely make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel below, so I can keep bringing you videos like this. And again, a big thanks to Let's Get Physical for sending this out to me here. Really appreciate it. It was a pleasure working with you guys and using this this player. I mean, the Reavon is really no joke, and I'm just so glad that I got a chance to experience it. So thanks again. I wish you guys all the very best. Please stay safe and take it easy.